rocks. And that's not in your way too much. Actually, I don't care, because it smells lovely. And it's been in my rucksack since Thursday or Friday. Could be Thursday. I can't remember. No, Friday. Because I bought ice creams for people at work, and naturally, while I'm waiting for things to go through the till, I spy other things around the counter. Oh, I'll have that, I'll have this, I'll have that. And the air freshener was one of them. And the amount I fart in Rosie, we need an industrial grade air freshener. Now, I did start to film stuff at the weekend, but it was just too hot. So I didn't, I jacked it in. Quite literally. There's cyclists, but they're ages away. Here we go, and it's raining. Yes, we've had slight showers all morning, some good showers actually. Road's still wet from the last one, but then it went really muggy and horrible again. And it's got my tooth aching. Changing the weather affects one of my teeth. I think there must be a cavity or an air gap or something in it, because if there's a change in air pressure, it sets it off. But anyway, yes, I was going to filmage some stuff, because I was going to replace the rear brakes on Rosie, which are already here with pads. But the old pads really aren't that bad. Really aren't that bad. I think the calipers just want, the sliding pins just want a clean up and a grease, basically. And the system wants bleeding, because it's never been done since I've owned it, which is 2 years. So it's probably long overdue a bleed. So yeah, get that done. But I took the wheel off to have a look at the disc and all that bollocks, and noticed the rear upper arms are corroded, which is very, very common on Rover 75s. The arm was a very bad design, and the funny thing is, when you take the wheel off, you think it's a lower arm, but it's not. It's an upper arm. It's a big chunky thing with a pan in it, and the spring sits in the pan and then like locates into the body. And what happens is, there's a rubber pad that the spring sits on, like a cushioning pad, and it helps locate it home. And that blocks one of the very poor drainage holes in the arm. Consequently, the arms fill of water and they just sit there slowly rotting away to themselves. It's a piss poor design. So I've ordered some new ones from Discount MG Rover Spares. Another plug, because they're just worth it. I priced up the arms over on Rimmers, and it was weird, I couldn't work it out, because they had, Christ, it must have been 10-15 different arms for the Rover 75, and nearly all of them are genuine MG Rover and all this lot. And as far as I can tell, there's no difference between the lot of them, but some of them were like, before VAT and stuff, about £109 each, and others were like £140 each, and I couldn't work out why. I don't know whether Rover actually updated the part or anything like that. I haven't got a Scoobs. So I went over to Discount MG Rover Spares, because I know they, on common stuff that goes, they quite often do bundles to save you a bit of dollar. So the bundle I got was new upper arms, new lower arms. There's like a torsion arm, and they rot as well, because they had bad drainage, and they've got like a plastic cover on them, and they all hold moisture and blah 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 blah. Shit design, basically. BMW design. The Germans. But these new parts that Discount MG Rover Spares have had manufactured themselves have, by the looks of it, better drainage, and also they're coated inside and out, which, fair enough, these original arms I think have lasted for 21 years. I don't think they've ever been replaced. So, you know, fair dues, they've lasted that long. But when I took the wheel off, the pan where the spring sits was starting to look a bit like Swiss cheese. And I'm thinking, I'm sure from pictures I've seen, that should be a solid pan. I thought nothing of it, stuck the wheel back on, and we're in Rosie now. Literally just a hole in the pan like that on one of the edges, and looking quite crusty. So I thought, okay. So I went on the internet webs and had a look, and yes, sure enough, that pan was solid. So I'm thinking, oops, they've got to be done, because we're going away soon, and I just didn't like the idea of having a fully laden car. Some would argue it's fully laden with just me sitting in it, but you know, going away with the Oxford family lamb, I didn't like the idea of it being fully laden and the roof box and all that lot, and the arms being in that condition. Now, yeah, it's took years for them to get into that condition. Chances are they would not have failed, but having seen it, I need to do something about it, because if they do fail, we're in shit street without a paddle. The car's going to have to be recovered, and we're all going to, it's just going to cause massive hassle, and all the time in the back of my head I'll know that they like it. Makes sense to me. So I've ordered the parts this morning. I've got the bundle of rear lower arms and the other arms, and it comes with new voltage, and I think those were, it was about 300 oh yeah, sorry, I ordered new springs as well, because I thought, may as well. What sometimes happens, well, happens fairly frequently, is that the bottom of the spring will actually crack, and it sort of, it sounds stupid, but it sort of corrodes itself onto the rubber. It sounds daft, but it does. And the idea is to reuse the rubber seats that's on there. I didn't have a look to see if you could buy them, but I just wanted to keep the price of the job down, because obviously we're going away soon. I don't want to spunk my holiday money, but it's so we hope we'll salvage those, we'll reuse those. So yeah, got that. So I ordered new springs just in case, and then, you know, apart from taking the sub, I didn't want to take the subframe out or anything like that, because it involves dropping the exhaust, and I know my exhaust is not the best at the back. It's going to need a new back box soon, which I think is like a cut and shut affair, because it's all one piece and the rest of it's fine. It's just the back bit where it goes into the box is rotting, and so that's going to have to be addressed at some point. But so yeah, done that. So we'll just crack on with it. But it's noticeably cooler today, and it's humid, and it's come on then, Mr. Range Rover. You like bombing around in the lanes, but when it comes to pulling out onto a main road, you want everybody to see that you've got a fucking Range Rover, don't you? Get on with it! More road rage advice. So that job's coming up. Hopefully, it's now Monday. They'll be here probably Wednesday, because they are pretty damn quick at sending stuff out, and hopefully we'll get some sweeties in there too. But that'll do, and then it might be as early as the end of this week when they're fitted. Now I'm employing employing or blackmailing. It was one of the two assistants of Mr. Steve, Captain Tony, Uncle Steve, and because obviously he's got a proper workshop jack and all that lot, which means he can get the back of the car right up in the air. My piddly little bottle jack and my trolley jack's broke. You got no hope of getting a fat git like me under there, and I don't like the idea of doing it on a driveway when, you know, I've got a friend with a dugger gun and lots of gruntage, and he's a big old unit with plenty of muscle. So, you know, he stands less chance of soiling himself trying to undo bolts than I do. So that's the idea behind it. It's nothing to do with, you know, saving money or that. Because if I knew I could easily do it on my own driveway, I'd do it. I'd have a crack at it. But, you know, if you've got mates with the right kit who are more than willing to help you, use the help. And this is a funny thing, I've sort of always been like it. I don't like asking for help if I think I can do the job myself, and invariably I end up in a deeper pickle because I either can't get something undone, so I just scrub the job, put it all back together, or, you know, because I'm a bloke, I don't like asking for help. But when you get older, you sort of realise, why struggle? People out there are willing to give you the help. I'll feed and water them, and if they want a bit of dollar for doing it, fair enough. Don't expect anybody to do anything for free. So it's yes, so it'll have a date with Steve, and I shall have a day off, and I'll go and annoy the shit out of him. Sorry, assist. I will be head tea boy and biscuit herder, and we'll do that. I'll take the old boy out for a spot of lunchy munchy, gammon and chips perhaps. Who knows? Got to keep a man going. So I shall take some photos and stuff. I won't film anything because I shall be on Steve's premises, and it's not fair on Steve if he doesn't want to be on the videos, which I can fully understand. Because, you know, I thought I had a face that would crack a mirror, but Steve, no, I'm only joking, mate. Honestly, we're a pair of love bears. That's what we think. Definitely think. We've got to think that because no one else does. But yeah, we'll do that. Hopefully it'll go swimmingly. I've been advised to get under the car every day and spray the bolts with releasing agent. It nearly said a brand name there, not a sponsor. That's all well and good, but they do say that the rear bolts in the subframe, just start them off with a ratchet first. Just don't go in there with a dugger, because there's a captive nut, and if that captive nut spins, you are in a world of pain. So we don't want that happening. So I shall advise Steve on the correct procedures. You know, even though he's a mechanic and he's been doing this for fucking years, he will have an absolute amateur guiding him through the process, which I'm sure he'll get annoyed about. At least I hope he does. So I shall take some photos of it, take some photos of the old arms, springs. I'll take some photos of the cups. I'll try and do it in such a way where it's not necessarily a tutorial, but this is how we did it, and it can be done on your driveway. I'm just not going to struggle. Can't see the point. You know what my operating procedure is. If I'm going away somewhere and a job needs doing on the car, I'll do it the day before we go away, which leaves you approximately room if something goes wrong, which it invariably does. I mean, when I did the engine mounts like a moron, I undid two. I had the engine on a jack, but without thinking, well, actually my train of thinking was this: oh, while I'm here, while I'm under the car, I may as well get that one undone. Didn't think. And this is my greatest quality. I don't think when I speak usually. It just comes out, and I've got no filter usually. You know, I'm surprised I've not got into more trouble than I have, to be honest. But so yeah, like an idiot, I undid two mounts and the engine moved. And if it weren't for my uncle next door coming up with a bit of bush engineering, I mean, we literally had a ratchet strap, threw it over my brick shed, grappling hook style, and managed to move the engine back that way. But if it wasn't for his thinking, because I was beyond the point of frustration, you know, when you get into a frustrated blindness that you cannot see how to fix it because you've just wound yourself up too much. I do that a lot as well on simple jobs, and I shouldn't. I should just chill out, take a break, think about it, crack on. It's like I couldn't get me fork cap, not my fork cap, dildo face, the damper release tool. I actually ground one down to sort of fit down the stanchion, but it got stuck in the threads, and I couldn't for the life of me think how to get it out. I thought, it's stuck in there now, I can't get anything in the other end, I won't be able to push it out. So anyway, I chilled for a bit, got frustrated first, naturally, chilled for a bit, and then I discovered, well, why don't you just try and buzz it out threads, quite often the threads will help you release it, and the hardened threads being in a shankskin. So that's what I did. I very, very gently did the old lefty loosey, and sure enough, she came out that easily. After I'd sat there and worried about it, it was just, why didn't you just think of that in the first place, you fucking moron? But you see, I get like that. I'll get that wound up in a job where I won't see the other side of it. I won't see the cure to the problem. Oh, that was pretty cool. V-dub Lupo, done in the old restoration style, you know, with the rusty panels and shit. And it looked, some of them look terrible, don't get me wrong. That one looked brilliant because they dulled all the paint. It actually looked brilliant. I probably got it on the camera over my shoulder, but it looked really good. The last Lupo I drove was a factory race car. I'm not lying, they made a factory race version of the Lupo, and it was at a test track in the Midlands. Not the one I'm going to now, but they had, oh crikey, I think I'm right, I think they had over 10 of them, and they used to use them on events. You know, when people used to turn up and pay to drive a Ferrari or something like that, or a Mustang, they had a fleet of genuine Volkswagen Lupo race cars. And of course, if you're used to like Aston Martins and stuff like that, you think, what's the point? Oh, the biggest laugh out. Absolutely the biggest laugh out. You were doing lower speeds than you would in an Aston and a Ferrari and McLaren and an Atom and stuff like that, but because of the noise and the sensation through it, there was absolutely no soundproofing in it. You know, it had the factory roll cage and shit like that. It was an immense experience. It really was, just orally, it was an immense experience. And they handled fantastic. They were really, really good. Super nimble. But yeah, I'll never forget that, because I drove a 355 the same day, and the 355 was a letdown. Just didn't have the same buzz. Whereas if you drove the 355 with a gated shifter, best part about a Ferrari, they should have never have got rid of a gated shifter, but because a load of people can't drive manual in their biggest markets like America, very few people drive manual, they're obviously losing out on sales. So they went to this F1 gearbox, which is cack. I don't like them. You know, not that it's ever going to worry me, but there you go. Very nice blacked out Audi in front of us. Looks something like an A4 estate, but it is not a genuine Avant. But he's got it all blacked out, tastefully, smoked rear lights, and smoked glass at the back, and it looks quite mean. Monkey bike! Yes! Absolute cock on! New monkey, that's the first one I've seen on the road. They've been out a while now, the new monkeys. That's the first one I've seen on the road. I think he looked a little bit surprised that I was giving him a thumbs up. I've noticed that if a nod to bikers in the car, pig ignorant twats don't nod back. I think it's disgusting. Anyway, I'm nearly at work. So that's what's happening in Jimmy World. I've sort of left Nibbler while it's been too hot, because the shed has just been like a sauna. And I don't know about you, but my arse crack, I honestly thought about fitting a log flume and, you know, charging the kids £2 to slide down it the other day. It was horrible. So I don't know how you lot have coped with the heat. I cope with heat better now I'm older actually, but it wasn't enjoyable. One of them things where Saturday I practically slept all day and then stayed up at night. Did it the Spanish fashion. And it worked quite well. But Nibbler, I've got to do the oil seal on the side of the engine. I shall get that done, but I've got to drop the oil lines for the oil cool off, so I may as well change the oil while I'm there. The oil's been in 1,000 miles, and no matter how many heat cycles you put it through, when it's stationary in the, you know, in the shed or your garage or wherever you keep it under tarpaulin under the washing line and all this lot, it will never ever replicate running on the road. same with the cooling system. If you're flushing a cooling system, put the flush in it and ride the fucking thing. Or, you know, flush it, get it through its mot or whatever, get it on the road for 1,000 miles and then flush it again, because it goes through totally different heat cycles. You'd be amazed. You can have absolutely spotless coolant in there. You flushed it through so it's all clean water and spotless. Do 1,000 mile on the road and it'd be like ditch water. It's very, very odd. So always do your flush after you've ridden it a while. And same with the oil. You're basically breaking the bike in again. You know, it's one of them. So I've got to do that. Anyway, I'm in work now, so I have to stop filming. Later, dudes.